I make my claim go faster? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and recently I've talked about how slow the VA can be in processing a claim, and that annoying experience of being stuck at decision pending. And one of you asked, is there any way to make this claim process go faster? Well, it turns out there is a way to request priority processing, but the catch is that you're going to have to fill out more paperwork with the VA. Well, there actually is a phone number that you can call to get things moving along more rapidly, but today what I want to do is focus on the eligibility requirements for this kind of special processing. I figure it's just a good idea to know whether or not you qualify for this kind of special treatment, and that way you know when's the right time to pull the trigger, and you know whether or not you should bother jumping through hoops. With that in mind, there's essentially 3 categories of people who qualify for priority processing. People who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, people who have serious medical conditions, and people who meet some special categories. And since the special categories are the easiest ones, let's just start there. This category includes people who are 85 years old or older, recipients of the Medal of Honor, former POWs, and Purple Heart recipients. Next, you have folks with pressing medical problems. These include folks who are terminally ill. However, it should be noted that the VA is going to consider whether the claim process is going to get completed before the veteran passes away and whether additional benefits are necessary, especially aid in attendance. What's unusual to me is that there's one particular illness, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, that gets priority processing. It seems to be the only illness specifically named, and the VA's manual doesn't provide any qualifying comments about the severity of the disease necessary to qualify for priority processing. Anyways, terminal illness or ALS can apply to any veteran, but the final category of people are called very seriously ill or seriously ill during military service. At first glance, this looks like a generic catch-all, but it is highly specific. These are DoD personnel casualty statuses, sometimes called VSI and SI, and they're defined in DoD 1300.18. A person who is very seriously injured has been declared by a competent medical authority to be more likely than not to die in the next 72 hours. And serious illness or injury means that death is possible within the next 72 hours. Point being that this kind of special processing is not business as usual. It involves close coordination between DoD and the VA, and it happens on a very tight timeline. The final category of folks eligible for priority processing are veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. And I'm not really going to dig into all the details today, except to say that the federal government has a pretty sophisticated definition of homelessness in Title 42, Section 11302 of U.S. Code. It covers a lot of different ways that people can be without a home. Living in cars or campgrounds, couch surfing, shelters, hotels, plus people who are going to lose housing in the near future. The point being that when you talk to the VA, you're going to have to explain the details of your situation, you're going to have to provide some evidence, and that's going to probably take a little bit of time. Now, those of you who are really eagle-eyed probably noticed that I skipped one final circumstance that merits priority processing. That is extreme financial hardship, and the reason I skipped over it and I kind of put it with this issue of homelessness is because the VA is going to be looking for documentation to support the assertion of hardship. And most of the examples in their manual seem to be related to owning a home, like foreclosure notices, past due utilities, and collection notices. Extreme financial hardship doesn't have to be about home ownership. I mean, it can include the loss of a job or the sudden loss of some source of income. But you're going to have to provide some kind of proof about your circumstances, and it seems like proof that your housing is at risk is likely to be some of the most compelling evidence. All right, so those are the circumstances that make a veteran's claim eligible for priority processing. But how do you apply? Well, there is a form with the god-awful designation of VA Form 20-10207. You could just fill it out and send it in by mail, but that's going to just slow things down. The quicker way is to submit a request online, and I'll put this link in the description. But remember this phone number. Even before filling out paperwork, I would call this number. Get positive contact with somebody and make sure that they know this request is coming, because you and I both know how easy it is to just click one little wrong button and it just sends the whole process flying off the rails. And then there is this final consideration. You can have a third party do this for you, like you can have a family member help you out. Or someone acting as your power of attorney. They can take action on your behalf. The thing is that either type of these people helping you out, they're going to have to fill out their own paperwork with the VA to be able to do that. I guess what I'm saying is that there's going to come a point in a lot of our lives when we're relying on somebody else to deal with the bureaucratic muck of the VA. So laying the groundwork for that transition is probably a good idea. In fact, just sharing your DD-214, well, that's a good start.